Hey everyone, what is going on? So I finished Transistor last night and today I wanted to give you my overall review. So the first thing I wanted to say is that it's very refreshing to play a game that only goes for 6 to 8 hours but is chockers the whole way through. If you compare it to most open world games right now, it's kind of the opposite. It might be 30 hours but around about, say, 8 or 9 hours of content inside, and the rest is just spaced up with random side quests that have very little value or just traveling around the world in general. And I think you guys know exactly what I mean. So the game continuously got better and better throughout the gameplay. So what I mean by that is the very first hour was kind of, yeah, it was pretty relaxing. The skills were pretty standard as well. But throughout the game, it got more complex, but in a really, really good way. The skills started to get stronger. It felt more awesome. The storyline thickened. Overall, the pacing was just insanely good. And like I said, just refreshing to have a game that's short and fun at the same time. Let's talk about the art right now. It goes without said that the art in Transistor looks fantastic. Everything is hand-painted, there's cutscenes in between, and because the game is an indie title, it looks like that they didn't have to spend a lot of money on animation budget, but with the parallax scrolling that they did actually pull off, it just looks fantastic and suits the game perfectly. I'd go as far as to say that if they did animate it, it wouldn't have that aesthetic and quality that the game actually has right now. So when you get towards the later half of the game, or I should say the climax part, the whole world just completely flips and the concept starts to really brighten up on what the Transistor world is all about. That whole mechanical cyberpunk style really gets pushed to the limit. So let's jump into the storyline. Now I have to say that there's something very mature and mystical at the same time about the storyline in Transistor. I dislike it when games handhold and baby you with their actual storyline. I think a great example of this would be Fallout 4, where it doesn't really, treat you like a little kid. Most games are so safe right now that it does. Transistor just has a very mature and well-written storyline. I mean, by the end of it, you really feel attached to the world, you understand what's going on, and it's not the crappy usual stuff where it's like, hey, this is the bad guy, go and kill him because he's done this and that. It really does have a lot of depth, and I'm trying to hold off here because I don't want to give away the story. Okay, let's talk about the main features that I think we all want to know about, and that is the gameplay. Now, I kind of see Transistor as two types of gameplay. It has action RPG elements, similar to, say, Diablo, I guess you could kind of throw in there, but also has a strategy element as well. Now, when you very first start the game, it's very comfortable to play as an action RPG. There's a mechanic in the game by pressing spacebar, it allows you to freeze time, but you don't really have to when you very first start out. Now, the more you go in depth in the game, you're going to find that you are going to rely on this mechanic. In fact, I really feel like this is a strategy game first. The action RPG stuff is just a part of there to make it feel a little bit fluent as well, but it's nice to know that it is there, and I did find myself using it even during the very last boss. Now, the second part that I really liked about the gameplay is the death punishment. So basically, when you engage in an attack, you get trapped inside of a box, and this is called a turn. Now, if you can't complete the turn at any point during or after, you can actually retry that whole entire turn. I'm just going to call it sequence as well. Now, the awesome part about this is that between almost every single sequence or turn, there's a save point just before. So you never feel like you're trekking around, once again, throwing back to the open world type games where, you die, you're way back far away, you gotta travel all the way up again. None of that stuff. It chucks you right back in, so it lets you stay engaged in the gameplay without having to feel like you've been taxed. Even if you do actually die and do want to continue on, what the game does is it takes away one of your skills during that fight. Now, this skill is not permanently removed. Those skills actually reactivate after playing the game a little bit more. Once again, this isn't taxing at all either. We're talking about an extra 10-15 minutes of gameplay and you get that skill back. Because you're carrying 4 different skills, it allows you to technically die 4 times. A fantastic way of having the death penalty fun and not punishing whatsoever, but still feel valuable because you don't want to lose your skills and have to, play for 15 minutes and get another one back. Now, the skill system is subtly complex. At first, it'll feel pretty complex just from the UI. It is a little bit confusing, but eventually, you're going to pick up on that, and it's very simple. But there's a secondary layer that is pretty complex as well. Here's how it works. You can use any one of your skills 3 different ways. So you can use it actively as just a normal attack. You can use it as an upgrade, which benefits, another skill that's being active, or you can use it as a passive as well, a third different layer. So I feel like it's very cool because you can come up with your own combo. Now, throughout my time, I probably played through maybe 4 or 5 different combinations, and towards the end, I felt very unique. I felt like I made my own special combo, and, I don't think anyone else would actually play it like this. It felt really awesome and special. The skill system is great. Now let's talk about the pricing really quickly. It's $20 Australian, so probably a lot cheaper in the US. Now, I'd have to say that this is a expensive indie game, but for that price, this is an absolute pickup for sure. Now let's get into the end game. Now the end game that Transistor has is basically called limiters, and it's kind of like a skill tree that limits your actual gameplay. So for example, it makes certain mobs harder to kill, do more DPS. In return, it'll give you extra XP. There's a whole entire chain of limiters that you can stack on to replay the game once again. I really like this feature, although me personally, after just finishing it, I don't really have a need to go and play it again and try and get some end game out of it, because I feel like it's just good. It was just a good experience from start to finish. And, like any type of project, it has a start and a finish. I really liked that kind of feeling. But if you are one of those types of people that just love to go and, replay games over and over again, then definitely there is a end game to it. And I think maybe in, maybe a couple of months from now, I might want to re-pick it up and play it again. I know that that's there. I'll definitely be using that particular mechanic. The limiter system is fantastic. Anyway, friends, my overall review about this game is that this is, in my opinion, the best indie RPG I've ever played in my life. It is a fantastic game. I'm absolutely blown away by it. I can't wait to see what the studio brings out next. I'm one of those people that really does get tired and bored of games that are so open and so broad. They boast 200 hours. I don't want 200 hours. I want 10 hours of absolute awesomeness, not just bits and pieces here and there. If a game's gonna boast, 30 hours like most games that come out right now, I want that to be chockers of awesome stuff, just like Transistor is. Honestly, guys, I don't really do the whole number thing. I think it's lame, but 9.5 out of 10 for me. This game is near perfect. I absolutely love it, and I think there's a reason why there's 11,000 overwhelming positive reviews on Steam. This game is sexy as. Go and pick it up. Anyway, friends, see you next time.